I am Dr. Antipas Harris, your host today, and I'm very excited to have an extraordinary guest with us, Dana Steele. Dana has been talking to us about this extraordinary ministry that she has that is addressing the horrors of slavery, yes, slavery that exists right now in our backyard, and it is called sex trafficking. Dana is doing an extraordinary work in Suffolk with a ranch. Can you believe what can be done in ministry with a ranch? Dana is doing it, and she's doing it big. Dana, would you tell us a little bit about the Homestead Ranch that you have founded out there in Suffolk? What are you doing to respond to sex trafficking?
The girls are being rescued either through law enforcement or through different groups here in the Hampton Roads area, sometimes even across the country, and the FBI gets in contact with us. We have a restoration home. And so on our ranch we have animals. We have a therapeutic animal program and a riding program. We help the girls by being the hands and feet of Jesus to them, getting them healing and restoration through counseling, through the animal program, through independent living skills, GED program, college.
Wow. What have you seen? What's the reaction of these girls when they come and you expose them to all these extraordinary therapeutic avenues? What have you seen?
Well, a lot of it is just them learning and realizing that they're safe, that they are safe and that none of the men or the women are going to exploit them in any way, and that they have now the freedom, sometimes for the first time in years, to just be themselves and to find out who God has made them and the gifts that they've been given, and how are they going to use that for God.
Well, you know, I think this is extraordinary, and I'll say why. I was a pastor in New Haven, Connecticut before coming to Hampton Roads, and I remember one day I was speaking to the young adults once I'd taken, I was sort of transitioning in as pastor of this church, and I was speaking to the young adults, and just as we finished talking, a young lady walked up to me and said, "Reverend, I need to talk to you." And I said, "Yes, what's going on?" And she explained to me that she was abused by her mother, and that there was a woman who took her into her home to give her a safe place from her mom's abuse. And when she got there, she realized that she had to be the woman's lover. And so she wanted a way out of that situation. And that day, it occurred to me that I didn't have any resources, right, for her to get into a better or a safer place.
Right.
Because oftentimes we think about sex trafficking as male-female, but in this situation it was kind of the same thing,
Right.
and it was female-female. And you know, as you talk, I'm only thinking, man, what resource can this be to pastors? At the time, I'm married now, but at the time I was a single pastor. And if I were married, I could have said, "Well, why don't you come stay at our house?" But I couldn't do that as a single pastor,
exactly.
right? And so it would have been great to have a resource like yours, a ranch, where she could have gone. And there may be pastors or other youth workers watching on the show right now that need a resource like what you have. And so this is extraordinary. Now, tell me a little bit about the difference between a shelter and a restoration home.
Shelters are generally short-term, so you may have just emergency shelters, which may be 1 or 2 nights. You might have a regular domestic violence shelter or just homeless shelter, which are generally about 30 days. Some domestic violence shelters might be 60 days. These girls don't fit in the domestic violence shelters. Generally, domestic violence shelters include children. And the regular homeless shelters generally have a 30-day program, and they help the girls maybe to get on their feet, to get a job. But this is more of a restoration program. So it's an 18-month to 2-year program, particularly for girls who have been trafficked for a long period of time and need a safe place to start building their lives, sometimes from the beginning. If they've been trafficked since they were 12 or 13, they haven't had the education. They haven't had the experience of being able to pick out clothes or being able to go to the grocery store and do normal things that we think of that adults do.
Now, oftentimes when females are trafficked, they may come with children. Does your your restoration home have resources to support the girls if they have children, or are they separated from them? How does that work?
At this point, we are looking to include some of the girls with children. Right now, we are still refurbishing a couple of the homes, so it's really not safe yet for small children. So, but we are looking to include girls that are pregnant or that may have a small child with them as well.
Oh, that's extraordinary. Now, I've had some relationship with ministries, and particularly in the D.C. area, that oftentimes that deal with sex trafficked females, and oftentimes I've learned people who are trafficked sometimes come with legal issues, or legal. I mean, sometimes it's discernible when they get into prison or if they have some record. How do you find that situation? The complexities of legal issues being sort of brought with folks who are coming on your premises.
Well, law enforcement and the Commonwealth attorneys and the judges are beginning to see that many of these girls are victims, not criminals. So even though they may come with, or they may be just coming out of jail, for instance, or they may come with, a criminal quote unquote background, sometimes we're able to work with them in terms of their legal issues to see how we can help them. Sometimes they're done. Sometimes it's a question of the Commonwealth attorney saying, hey, we will help you get over to the ranch instead of going to jail, if you are willing to do A, B, and C. Some of it includes testifying against their trafficker, which they may or may not be willing to do.
Yeah. I've had to deal with that situation and nurture people to testifying against their perpetrator, and that could be a very difficult situation. What have you seen the Lord do with these girls?
Amazing things. It's amazing to see how God has met us in the places that we need him to, just in getting the house together. Wow. And in each of the girls' lives, in showing them that they are the apple of his eye. Wow. They are his princesses. They have been created to serve him, but they've also been created with incredible gifts and talents, every one of them. And it's amazing to see the turnaround that they're able to make and the healing from trauma that is able to occur.
Isn't that extraordinary to see the glory of God reveal itself in the lives of people who are in distress situations? Oftentimes I find that in the church we recycle Christians and we feel good and we have this Christianese, right? We know how to talk Christ, we know how to act Christ, we have learned behavior about how to express ourselves in faith. But when you see someone who's been in a difficult situation, may not have ever met the Lord, come to your facility and discover themselves in Christ, that's amazing to me.
Right, because many of them have never had that legalese, churchy kind of
right.
talk and been in that church kind of situation.
So it's real. You
real
see the glory of God really lift them out of a dark place into a place of enlightenment.
That's
to see
right.
the glory of God. That is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now,